ranking video. Oh my god, what is this? But this ranking video for concealers will be different, I think, than a lot of ranking videos that we have all seen. First of all, over a period of maybe 2 weeks, I shot while I was putting on each one of these. This is most, but not all, of my concealer collection. And for most of them, I'll come back after a little while to check for troughing or dryness. So I think that this ranking video should be able to give you a really good idea of what these concealers are about and what they're capable of. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised at the results. I own a lot, I have a channel, I buy things to review for you, and when I get something new that I like, I just wear it over and over and over again. I will change if this isn't going to work for this foundation, or I need something heavier, or I need something lighter. But like all of us, when we find something we like, we kind of stop using the other stuff. Doing this video, I could see in very close approximation. It wasn't every day that I shot my B-roll, but it was close, what the differences are. And I was surprised at what my favorite was. Before we get into it, let's get into me. Because what I'm saying may not matter to you. I think there's a lot of women out there who really don't need concealer. They put it on because it's like putting on your underwear, you know? It's something you do, but they don't really have darkness. I think for a lot of women, they can just put their foundation under their eyes, or even a lighter foundation under their eyes, and they're fine. But I actually really have darkness, as you will see if you've never been here before. If you've been here before, you know. I am 61 years old, so I have lines and wrinkles. I also have puffiness, and I have something that I call a trough. So I'm very cheeky, and then I have puffiness. So it's like cheeky and puffy. And right here, that's the trough. And that's where everything collects on me. Some are worse than others, but ideally, I'd like to find something that doesn't trough at all. And that is a hard call, but apparently not impossible. So if anything that I'm saying here sounds like, oh, that's me, maybe it's not all of them, but some of them, this video I hope will be helpful to you. And a little tag here. These are my experiences and my thoughts. They may differ from yours. I may be speaking about something that doesn't quite do it or isn't impressing me, but as I'm talking about it, you might be thinking, ding, 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 that is going to work for me, and that's fine. That's what it's about. I'm exposing you to all of these things. I think it's 7, maybe 6. I think it's 7. And hopefully you will find something that you will enjoy using. As always, I will have everything linked down below, as well as what foundation I'm wearing on each day, and yeah, the colors in both the foundation and the concealer. I do have notes, so the glasses will be coming on and off as soon as I clean them. I am not putting these in order right now. The ranking will be at the very end, so let's get into it. First is the Makeup Forever HD. Most of these came out this year, and this is one of them. I have them in 2 shades because I couldn't find a shade that worked for me. One is too warm and maybe too dark, and the other one is kind of light and kind of pink, and mixing them together actually gives me a good mix. If I'm a little bit darker, I can put a little bit more of that dark in there, so I don't mind having 2. When I first got this, probably a month or 2 months ago, I'll post the video here. I got the Fenty foundation stick at the same time, and I enjoyed both of them. I've been wearing that concealer a lot, almost exclusively. I will take a swatch of each color on the back of my hand and mix them together with the Angie Hot and Flashy brush. You can use whatever brush works for you, but I like a brush application with this. Now this dries down fast, so if you apply doe foot right under the eye, you need to move fast. Don't do this eye and then blend this one out. The fact that it sets down fast bodes well. I don't think you actually need to powder this one. I do because I need to get rid of any shine, but if you don't, I think this one can go without powder. I have to say, I did use this the first time, doe foot under eye, and I didn't like it. It felt like it was sitting on top of the skin rather than blending into the skin. With the brush, a completely different animal. I oftentimes wait a few minutes after I've applied and check to see if I've troughed Most of the time I have, and then I'll blend out that trough a little bit, but I didn't on this occasion. And now we're going to do a cutaway to my thoughts. I didn't do any buffing out for the trough. I wanted to see if it troughs, and it does. Everything troughs on me, almost. But the troughing is not bad. And the powder has kind of sunk in so it doesn't look too matte under the eye. It matches everything else that's going on my face. And now I'm coming back about an hour later with an update. So it's been about an hour that I've had this on. The light's a little bit different, and I wanted to show you, I haven't touched it. I have been wearing my glasses, and so I have a little rub off where the glasses are. And I did get a teeny bit of troughing, both eyes. But that's not bad, you guys. And not everybody has the puffiness and then the cheekiness and a trough. So now I'm just going to take it with this, I can't remember what kind of brush this is, and pop it a little bit. And that will stay for the rest of the day. But if you do not have troughing, just focus on what's going on above that. This is not settling into the lines and wrinkles under my eyes, and I have a lot of them. So I think this is really underrated. I'm not seeing a lot of people get excited about this one. I think it's a pretty darn fantastic. Now Surratt came out with, oops, I just twisted it, a concealer this year that I love. I'm wearing it here with the Dewdrop foundation in the footage, not today. And the color that I have is a touch too light for me. If I had something a little bit darker, I would be wearing this. You can see me wearing this a lot. I expect as the months get cooler and the color, any color that I've gotten from this summer disappears, abates, you'll be seeing me wear this a lot more because I truly do love this. This is a sponge applicator and a twist mechanism for dispensing the product. I dot on and blend with a brush. You could also blend with fingers or a sponge. The coverage is fantastic, as you can tell in this side by side. This is not the lightness of the color that you're seeing, it's actual coverage. And with the other eye, I use a beauty blender to blend it out, blend, blend, blend. And as you can see, the result is lovely. I don't see a huge difference from one to the other, but typically a beauty blender will remove some product. Here's a final look with a touch of powder, and I think it looks fantastic. Even though the color is a little bit light, I think the overall look is quite natural, and it lays beautifully on the skin. And for this one, I came back after 10 minutes to see if there was any troughing. You'll see that I definitely have rub off right here. I have been wearing my glasses. Okay, guys, it's been 10 minutes. Let's take 20 minutes. Look at that. It looks so nice that it's not even troughing right here. I mean, teeny bit, but not like usually. And yet it gives really good coverage, and I'm going to bring you in. It looks like skin, especially on this eye. So my eyes are different from side to side, just like yours. But this one usually gets the bad trough, and this one has more lines that are horizontal. But I feel that it looks so pretty under the eyes. It's just, the reason I don't wear it is a little too light, but I'm going to be wearing it more in the winter time. And the powder took the sheen down. I don't like a lot of sheen under my eyes because it makes them look more puffy. But this one, this is a beautiful, beautiful concealer, and I paired it with the Surratt. The Givenchy Prisme Libre Concealer, this also came out this year. It was a really good year for concealers, although I have to say there were a couple that went straight back. They just didn't work for me. These are the ones that I kept, so you know they work for me in some way. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that one of my favorite foundations is the Givenchy Prisme Libre Skin Caring Glowy Foundation, the first one they came out with. Now they have a matte as well. It's a fantastic color for me. It looks like skin. It doesn't look makeup-y, but it doesn't have a lot of coverage. If you're going to place it in medium, I think it's more than light. If it's lighter medium, oftentimes I still see some of my broken capillaries after I've applied it. I was thinking that the concealer would probably be about the same, and it is. This is not as strong coverage as the Makeup Forever or the Surratt. It is also more liquidy in nature, so the Surratt is slightly creamy, and so is the Makeup Forever. I would say that the Makeup Forever, even though I don't use my finger, so I haven't touched, the consistency, I think it has a little bit more heaviness and maybe slightly tackiness, which you would recognize if you touched it. But since I use it with a brush, I don't. And I think it's totally appropriate for my Givenchy foundation and my other foundations that are on the light medium side, like my Reboot, the Dewdrop also. Now here's a side by side, and you can tell there's some coverage here, but it's not complete coverage. But that's okay. As I said, I think it works with that foundation, and really on the day-to-day, I oftentimes don't feel like, I want to sit down and spend a half an hour on my makeup. I need to leave, you know? So I just want to put something on so I don't scare anybody. And the thing that I like about this concealer the most is it's so dependable. It is so easy. Boop, boop, nothing goes wrong. I don't have to spend a lot of time on it. So, you know, you kind of have to decide in life, right? With makeup, certainly, what am I looking for? What am I willing to put up with? I'm willing to put up with a little less coverage, just evening everything out and not scaring people, because every day isn't Halloween. Now, we're going to cut away to some of my thoughts. It was very, very hot on this day. I did have the fan on very high. You're going to hear that. Apologies in advance. Let's get to it. Face powder, that's just the shine from the sunscreen. It's not really so much about the foundation. And just a little bit, it is beginning to trough, just the teeniest bit. I'm not putting on a lot of powder, just enough to set it up. So this one does trough easily. In fact, I can depend on it troughing. It's one you have to put on from me and come back a few minutes later and then kind of get rid of that excess without getting rid of the coverage. And that is very, very hard to do. So I usually do lose a teeny bit of coverage. Been about 20 minutes and even hotter. I'm sorry for the fan, but it has to happen. I think I put a little too much powder on. When I smile, it looks a little dry right here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use my finger, and the heat of the finger should help work that powder in a little bit better. The troughing is minimal. Let me get a Q-tip here. Minimal troughing. So a little too much powder this time. I usually don't do that much, but I find that it always looks very skin-like. It's always comfortable. It's always a good color for me, and it gives me, I would say, solid medium coverage. And this is good enough for me, even though I have a lot of darkness. The Dior Correcting Concealer, I think it's called. This color looks, you know, fabulous here, but it's a little bit yellow, which is why you don't see me wear it very often. I bought this for a review, and when new products come out, they don't come out in store. You have to get them online, and finding a good color online is my biggest pet peeve. Very hard to do. Some of Dior's foundations in 2N are ideal for me. In the face and body, it's too warm. It's very odd. It's supposed to be neutral, but it's not. This is supposed to be neutral. I don't think that it is, but it pairs really nice with the face and body foundation. This one is a little bit more creamy than the Prisme Libre, but I wouldn't say that it's as thick, as creamy as the Surratt. Do you hear this? It's distracting. Or the Makeup Forever. This also has a doe foot applicator, as most of them do so far, except for the Surratt. So a little goes a long way with this. Probably put a little bit too much on, and that's dangerous for troughing. And here's the side by side. A little goes a long way with this one, but if you get too much, you just go on with your beauty blender and it will take off the excess. This one to me is also very skin-like. Now let's talk about powder very briefly. Some of these concealers don't need to be set. I don't think the HD needs to be set from Makeup Forever, and I don't know that this one actually needs to be set. But I set for a couple of reasons, mainly because I don't want sheen under my eyes because I'm puffy, you know? So if there's sheen, it comes forward. This is already coming forward. I want this to be pushed back, so I do powder, and I do powder. And here's my check-in a couple of hours later. Okay, you guys, it's 2 hours later, and I've been out and about running a couple of errands, and I can tell you that it creased on my eyelids. But it's not creasing on my under eyes. I have a teeny bit of troughing. I'm going to pull you in just the littlest bit. It's not that bad. Hardly anything on this eye. I'm going to buff it down because I feel like if I buff it up, I lose some of that coverage, and it doesn't look dry. It doesn't look cakey. Everything is fine. I do like this one. I don't use it a lot because of the color. In fact, I think it probably sat here for a couple of months, and when I got the new version of the face and body, I thought, oh, perfect. These will work well together, and they do. But I don't like very yellow foundation, so I don't use it too often. The Lancome Tint Idole Long Wear. When this first came out, it was my go-to. I was delighted with it. I had been using the Kosas, which is a bit creamier, and the one from Clinique, I think even better, which is very similar to the Kosas. And this was more liquidy, and it was a nice change. I don't mind those at all. I loved them while I had them, but like I said before, I review makeup, so I own a lot of makeup, and you know, there's always something that is just as good or even better out there. And also, Kosas now makes smaller sizes in the concealer, so you don't have to worry about it going bad. But I do believe that I tossed mine before it was done. The consistency of this one falls between the Dior and the Givenchy. It's not quite as liquidy as the Givenchy, but not quite as thick or creamy, let's say, as the Dior. I also find the coverage falls just between them. I do think I get a little bit more coverage than the Prisme Libre with this one. But I still very rarely go to it anymore. I think partly because suddenly the color is not working for me. It could be because it's old and the color is changing, or it could be something else. It's interesting, I feel like the Lancome is very, very similar to the Givenchy, but I am cropping immediately. So I did what I usually do. I did a little bit of buffing out, a little bit of powder, and then I went and I shot another video, and that probably took at least an hour because I had to do my makeup first, and then I came back. So a little bit of troughing, and the truth is, I did come back, but I think I didn't have record on because I can't find the footage, and I was just, you know, taking everything off my card. And I had a little troughing with that too. While the coverage remains nice, I do feel that it's a little dry looking under the eyes. Now, because I don't really use this so much anymore, and I only used it once for this video, I don't know if the dryness was because maybe I put a little too much powder on. It's possible. Or if it actually does make me feel, or more importantly, I don't really feel the dryness, I think it looks dry on the skin. Again, it is a little older, so maybe the formula has changed a little bit, but I don't imagine myself actually turning to that one too much since I have all these others that I like so much better. The Tom Ford, I don't know what the full name is, but I'm calling it the Stick Concealer. When I bought this, I was so deeply, deeply impressed. Now for this one, I like to just rub my finger over for quite some time, more than I need to, because I'm not just picking up product, but I'm warming this up before I apply it. You can also, instead of your finger, just do a brush. Either works just fine. Now I tend to kind of roll my finger as I do this because of the lovely shape of my under eyes, where like it goes like this, right? I'm rolling because I want to get this underside right under here. And the heat, again, of the skin, of the finger and the face kind of helps this product synchronize with the skin and really adhere. And here's my side to side. You can see, one, the color is pretty good, but more importantly, because color is different for all of us, the coverage is really good. And I think it's very skin-like. We're going to move in a little closer here. This is both eyes, and you can see how skin-like this looks. And then I did my full face of makeup in another video. And I came back after that, so it's probably an hour and a half later. Okay, I'm back. I just shot a different video, you guys, and it started to get hot. I took my hair down and I lived with it for a minute. I'm like, oh, I think I'm starting to sweat. Never good for makeup, but let's take a look. Okay, hardly any troughing. This is so little troughing that I don't feel like, oh, I need to do a little blending out before I finish everything else. So that is a big plus. When I'm not smiling, everything looks fine here, but I think because I sweat, I need a little bit of patting down. I think I got some over here from my eyeshadow look. I'm just going to pick it up with the tip of the brush because I want to be super, super specific. And I feel like there's a little bit right here too. And this is why I like to do my concealer after my eye makeup look, so I can kind of help shape the look. But for me, it's been about an hour, I guess. Very warm weather, starting to sweat a little bit, and I think this looks absolutely fabulous. Today I'm wearing the Ritual Defeat. I've mixed all the three colors, and the color is a little bit light for me, which is why you don't see me use this very often. This is in the color Creme, and it is a touch too light, and I don't like an under eye that's too light. So with this it goes great. It's so nice to be wearing this foundation again. I love it so much, and so nice to be wearing this again. And finally, you guys, I didn't do a review for this, or I did shoot one, but I didn't post it, probably because you guys seem to be only interested in new products from me. But this is the Sisley Paris concealer. Now, this concealer has been around for years, I don't know how long, and it has a thicker consistency, probably thicker than anything else. It has this metal applicator, which the idea is it's supposed to help with puffiness, and if you dot it on, I think it can. So my favorite thing to do with this is disperse on the back of my hand and then break it down and warm it up with this brush. And the brush is fantastic. It reminds me of lip brushes that they used to make 20, 30 years ago. But it fits perfectly right in here where I do have some darkness and I have a fat finger. It's hard for me to get that area really well. Now I'm going to demonstrate two ways to apply this, but let's talk about the color. I went to several websites before purchasing, and maybe it was just the time of year, I don't know, but it seemed like there were not a lot of colors to choose from, and I don't think there were even pictures of models, which are usually horrible anyway, but at least they give you an idea. So I got this shade, a little bit surprised that there was a peachy nature to it. Now when I use the brush, I always finish with my fingers or with the Beauty Blender or with this, because that brush is a transfer tool. It's transferring from the tube to your skin, but it's not really something you're going to blend with. You can spread with it, but for blending, fingers, blender, or a pouncier brush. I did apply this directly with the applicator just to show you what goes on. I think it's tricky to get the right amount, and I got a lot. But, you know, every problem, every mistake, there is an opportunity to find a solution. And with this one, the Handy Beauty Blender, I could kind of take some off and put some on. I did end up going back to one of the eyes and putting on a little bit more and blending that in. For this application, I actually didn't have my foundation on first. I usually do, but I went over with my Fenty stick, which is around here somewhere, And I used the big brush from BK Beauty, the 101, and as I did it, I wasn't careful not to get it under my eye because that peachiness was showing through. I didn't apply the foundation directly over it, but some got over, and I think that helped the color quite a bit. Now, as I said probably 3 times by now, who knows how many after I edit this, I usually wait about 10 minutes and I take a look for troughing and work on that. This time I took a look for troughing and there was 0. 0. Did I say 0? Yes. Let me say this again. How significant this is. 0 troughing. Okay, so this is my overall look. I did a little powder after my foundation. I did the Fenty stick. And I have to say, when you put on your concealer without having any foundation on, it can be a little bit scary. And this particular color is quite peach. And I was thinking for some people, maybe even me, it would be more of a corrector and I'd go on over it. But now that I put on my foundation and I've done a little bit of powder, I feel that the coverage is really, really good. And usually I get troughing right away. I mean, within a few minutes, I'll get a trough and I'll have to go in with a brush and do a little and I did not get any troughing with this, which is spectacular. None. None. It is probably better than the Tom Ford for not troughing, but the Tom Ford is also very, very good for very little troughing. It is a little bit fussy because it's thick. And as I demonstrated, if you squeeze this and go on, it's like, oh my goodness, yuck. But then you go over with the Beauty Blender and it's like, oh, that's pretty damn good. And then I put some more on here. Anyway, it is actually quite good. I need to start bringing this out again because I have had this for months. I got it at the same time that I got the Tom Ford, and yeah. So those are my experiences, you guys. Let's get into ranking. Some of you just want to skip to the ranking. You just want to know what do you like best. But I think all these details and all this B-roll can help you decipher for yourself. If you're different than me, you have different concerns. Some of the concerns are the same. You know what I mean. Let's rank. Ranking's hard for me because it's like saying, who's your favorite child? I don't have children, but I imagine many of you struggle not to have a favorite, but you actually do. I found that my ranking wasn't necessarily this is my favorite so much as this does this, which is up here on my desires, what I want to accomplish with my concealer. Number 1, the Sisley Paris. This is fussy, you guys. This is not an easy application. Out of everything that I did here, I spent more time on this one than any of them. Of course, I did put too much on, but still, this is something you have to finesse. You have to be thoughtful about your application, but it does not trough and it offers great coverage. And I think it probably even has skincare because Sisley Paris usually does. If you don't mind taking a couple of minutes to get your concealer on, then you need to look at this. If you are always perpetually in a hurry and you just want to put something on so you don't scare people, it's not going to be for you. The second one is the Tom Ford. The Tom Ford troughs a teeny bit compared to the Sisley, but pretty darn close. The coverage is excellent. While the Sisley has weird colors that I kind of have to correct, some people could use the Sisley as their color corrector and then go on with something else. For me, I feel like that's too much product. And as you know, concealers are usually thicker than foundations. So going over with a little bit of foundation, I think is a better deal with the Sisley. Tom Ford, color works. It's not too weird. A little light for me, but I will be wearing it once my skin gets a little bit lighter. And it's gorgeous. I was impressed when I got it. I'm still impressed. However, on the Eaze range, a little more fussy. A little more fussy because I really spend some time getting that in there. It's not the plop plop, brush, undone. But at the same time, it's less fussy than the Sisley. When I say fussy, it's not fussy because it's a bad product. It's just not an easy application. The Makeup Forever. Okay, so the Makeup Forever is third, and this is why. It's easy, It adheres really, really well. A little bit of troughing. I'm wearing it today, and I am troughing. So a little bit of troughing, not terrible. But I just found that I kept on going to it over and over and over again. Also because this has more coverage, if I feel like my foundation isn't covering everything, I'm wearing something on a light medium side, I can bring it down, my concealer, to this area because the coverage is so good with that one. However, let me tell you this, I mentioned it before, but who knows with editing. I do not like this when you just put the doe foot application onto your skin directly. It feels like it sits on the skin instead of melding into the skin. With a brush, magic. Now, number 4 is Surratt, but the truth is, as I was writing my, my ranking, I think the truth is, if there was a color that was my depth of tone, but more neutral, it would probably be above the Makeup Forever. And the Makeup Forever doesn't either. I just had to buy 2 of them. So, you know what? I'm going to say Surratt above Makeup Forever, if you can find a good shade for you. A little bit creamy. I think the coverage is better with the Surratt than the Makeup Forever. I think it looks beautiful on the skin. It looks skin-like. It's not drying. It lasts a long time. I have nothing bad to say about it. So, yeah, I think I'm going to turn those around. The Givenchy, the one that I wear the most, it troughs. I can depend on it troughing. I know it's going to trough. But, as I said, my real life, it's once in a while I do feel like sitting down and let's just play with makeup. But more often than not, I need to run an errand, get out of the house, and I just want to look a little less tragic than I do without makeup, just in case Mr. Right is there. Or I run into somebody I know and I think, oh my God, please don't look at me. I've gotten to that point in my life where there are times when I might be going out to empty the trash or something and a neighbor's there and I'm thinking, oh my God, please just don't look at me. So pathetic. But the truth is, even though this isn't high ranking, it fits that bill. It fits the easy, not difficult, really fast. And that's why ranking is so hard. I will still use this all the time. Does it have the best coverage? No. Does it not trough? No. Is it super easy? Yes. And then the Dior. And again, the Dior, I really don't have any issues with the Dior. I would say color is kind of a problem. The coverage is good. It's also really good on the face. And I have used it on the face several times. Again, I'm wearing a foundation that's a little bit less coverage and I can see my broken capillaries. I might go in, and I have gone in with the Dior to kind of fix that up. But it's all about the color of the foundation because you don't want to wear something that's completely different color under your eyes than on your face. And all of these are good, you guys. Something that's at the bottom rank for me is just very specific to me. These are good. The one that I think I'm going to toss, but the only reason I'm keeping it is for color. If I have something where this color is going to work, I'm going to keep it, and that's the Lancome, which is so interesting because when I first got it, I loved it and I wore it all the time. I actually had it in 2 shades. So I'm only keeping it for the off chance that I'm going to need it, not because I think it's all that great anymore. And again, it may be your very favorite, and that's fine. This is just my experience, my very specific eyes. And you guys, that's going to wrap up this video. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe give the video a thumbs up. Check my links below. I also have a discount code at Surratt, so if you're interested in buying that one, go down below and use my code for 10% off. And until we meet again, be safe and smart. I almost forgot. And I'm wishing you good health.